Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. This is the political edition of the news this morning. I have 13 articles in this episode, and the first one I have is off of Free Beacon. All these URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. This one says, Pelosi, I think the press were accomplices in undermining of our election. Wow. I'd love to know what drugs this woman's on. There's video in this. If you want to take a look at it, you can stomach it. It says House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, said Sunday on CNN's State of the Union that the press were accomplices in the undermining of our election by how it covers Russian hacks during the 2016 presidential campaign. Host Jake Tapper asked Pelosi if former President Barack Obama handled Russian interference in the election appropriately by trying to preserve the relevant intelligence to leave evidence for government investigators. Pelosi responded that Obama handled the situation well, but criticized the press for its conduct. I think the press were accomplices in the undermining of our election, Pelosi said. Pelosi later added that the media should have reported that hacked emails from Hillary Clinton campaign officials came from Russians. By not pointing out this stuff is worthless because it comes from an undermining of our election, or at least reminding the public where the leaks of these emails came from, Pelosi said. Moscow's cyber and disinformation campaign represents democracies being undermined, and said countries should learn from this experience so they can prevent it from happening to them. But what's important to know is that it doesn't happen again, and that people in other countries realize they are going to be susceptible to when Russians come in to undermine their elections, Pelosi said. She argued that Russian President Vladimir Putin had a personal vendetta against Clinton because she spoke about democracy and elections inside Russia. There's no question personally that Vladimir Putin had a vendetta against her, Pelosi said. Wow. That must be some powerful stuff she's smoking. The next one that we have here is off of teaparty.org, and it says, Riley exposes treason on national TV, and there's video in this if you want to watch that. And the article says, all I know is it's about time someone finally brought this out into the open so the American people know the truth. WikiLeaks recently released a new series of documents that reveal specific methods of information gathering used by the CIA. The leak of information occurred while Obama was president, and it will likely undermine our ability to intercept enemy communications. If the documents were leaked by a CIA employee, he or she committed an act of treason. Over 9,000 documents were leaked from the Center of Cyber Intelligence, a division of the CIA, revealing how the CIA operates completely undermines its effectiveness. Since Trump took office, anti-Trump elements within the intelligence community have sought to undermine the president by repeatedly leaking classified information to the press. This includes private conversations between Trump and leaders of foreign nations. Many of the employees in the intelligence community were installed by Obama, so they have likely been told to commit this treason in an attempt to discredit President Trump. In typical fashion, the Democrats' operatives are undermining the prosperity and national security of our country for petty political points. The Democrats would rather watch our nation fall than allow Trump to make America great again. Clearly, these people do not care about Americans, only their own power and money. America is the most sophisticated country in the world, but we can't protect our private conversations of our leaders, or our leader, in our intel secrets, our counterintelligence, or try this again, our counterterrorism measures. Lord have mercy, my eyes see it, my tongue won't say it. Bill O'Reilly explains. The situation is just unbelievable. We have to be able to defend our nation. The Democrats' response has been underwhelming. This horrendous act of treason should unite politicians across the aisle as they attempt to discover how the leaks occurred and how to best ensure they do not happen again. Instead, the Democrats are accusing President Trump of hypocrisy. They say Trump appeared to condone WikiLeaks actions during the campaign after John Podesta emails were leaked. The two situations could not be more different. In the summer, WikiLeaks released information that was held on Podesta's private email account. The emails revealed how a private citizen was attempting to undermine our country's electoral process. This new leak, however, reveals classified information from the CIA undermining the effectiveness of counterterrorism measures. It should be obvious to everyone that divulging U.S. military secrets is not comparable to divulging Podesta's risotto recipes. Democrats, now is the time to cease your childish antics and start working with our new president. This is not a silly game. Our national security is at stake. The next article I have is off of Liberty Writers. It says Trump is ready to rumble after hearing what Judge his name's a mouthful, Judge Napolitano got on TV and told him to do. Judge Andrew Napolitano joined Lou Dobbs tonight and discussed the issue of wiretapping that took place against Trump. Judge Napolitano explained that if Trump really wanted to hurt the CIA and the deep state, then he needed to do one thing. The deep state has a very wise and shrewd adversary, the man in the Oval Office. For the first time in the modern era, the man in the Oval Office is an adversary of the deep state and not a tool of it. And there is video by Lou Dobbs tonight, if you want to take a look at that. It says, we need to request that our elected men and women in Congress do their job and look over what the CIA is doing. These people are operating with executive powers and without authority. The deep state is doing things to the American people that you didn't vote for, and you're paying for it. The motto of this country used to be no taxation without representation. Say it loud. No taxation without representation. The next article is off BizPac Review. It says, how's that paddy wagon? Leaders prove it wasn't a day without stupid. So a few thousand leftist women in various U.S. cities took advantage of an International Women's Day and some time off from making their men a sandwich to supposedly let America know what a day without them would be like, which would have been fine if they weren't actually out making a nuisance of themselves, blocking traffic and getting arrested. In fact, the four main New York City organizers, Carmen Perez, Bob Bland, Linda Sarsour, and Tamika Mallory, all hit the paddy wagon on Wednesday afternoon for sitting in the street near the Trump Hotel. Ain't nobody got time for that. And there's pictures of them sitting in the paddy wagon if you want to pull it up and take a look at it. One of them said some of us have been arrested. Yeah, obviously. It says there's a video here shows some of the action and chanting, if you want to take a look at that. It says, note, sadly, a day without women doesn't mean a day without Nancy's nagging. You know, Nancy Pelosi, she got on there and on TV. It says, apparently desperate for new blood, Pelosi's sentiment echoed that of sore loser Hillary, who also made a plea for women to run for office, while donning a drastic new do. Yeah, nobody ever accused these leftists of being the sharpest knives in the drawer, but this beauty takes the cake. There is a tweet here. It says, women birth half the population and population. Nellie Stamp from Working Families Party. Say again. Who births the other half? Oh. And then there's a cute picture here of a cat that is dressed up like he's a scientist or something, and it says, bro, do you even do math? There's a video of a Barbie doll, and underneath it says, math class tough, party dresses are fun. Oh my goodness. There's a bunch of other really good ones. There's a Miss Piggy one. There's a whole bunch of them on here. So if you want to look at all those and entertain yourself for a few minutes, pull that up and take a look at it. This one, this next one here, this is all BizPack. It says, conservatives' humiliating and hilarious reasons to vote Democrat, book skyrocket to bestseller. I laughed so hard when I read this earlier. I had to share it with you guys because I know you'll get a kick out of it. It says, although thorough is a very fast read, a self-publishing book, or I'm sorry, self-published book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a comprehensive guide, only came out last month and is already number 6 or 4 on Amazon's bestseller list, number 2 for new releases. So what makes it so popular today? Wondered Fox and Friends host Ainsley Earhart, and there's some video of him in here. And the article says, conservative author Ben Shapiro described the tone as mostly exhaustive research and coherently argued Democrat Party apologia to date. Reasons to Vote for Democrats Comprehensive Guide is a political treatise sure to stand the test of time, a must-have addition to any political observer's coffee table. Michael Knowles, Daily Wire correspondent and the book's author, indicated that it's a fast read. What's really great about this book is that you can go cover to cover in about 15 to 20 seconds, he said, as he fanned through the pages. They're all blank. I turned to the 2012 Democratic National Convention. Knowles told Earhart on the subject of Democratic Party values, and the Democrats booed God when deciding whether to place God in its party platform. Last week, Knowles gave a preview of this book on Twitter. Apparently, it didn't hurt the sales. There's more video, and there's a bunch of tweets. This is just too funny for words. It says, reviewers give the book 4.5 stars, and it's available in paperback on Amazon for $7.08. There you have that. Can't make this stuff up. Next one here is off BizPack, and it says, Comey declares he's not going anywhere, and Trump supporters fire back, then do your job. To the chagrin of many Americans, FBI Director James Comey let it be known that he isn't going anywhere anytime soon. You're stuck with me for another 6.5 years, the Obama appointee said on Wednesday. And there's video of it if you want to take a look at it. Comey made the comment at a Boston College conference on cybersecurity, saying he plans to serve his entire 10-year term, Politico reported. He was first tapped to lead the Bureau in 2013 by then President Barack Obama. And there's some tweets, and it says, a keynote speaker, Comey spoke about privacy issues, but did not address the remarkable claim made by President Donald Trump that his predecessor wiretapped him in the Trump Tower, according to Politico. As for how long Comey remains, that is ultimately up to discretion of the president. A common theme on social media in response to his comment was to say, if you're going to stick around, then do your job. And there's a sample here of the responses from Twitter. One says, people like Comey who plead they don't plan to resign are often the first to go. Investigate, prosecute, fire Comey. Another one says, thanks for the warning. Another one says, until indicted for his part in Russiagate. Another one says, then do your job. I thought J. Edgar Hoover was bad. People on the FBI's most wanted list are laughing. And there's just a whole bunch of them. That's just a sample. So there you go with that. And I'm curious, if you listened to my broadcast earlier about the birth certificate and the transcripts of his school stuff and all that, if he is found, you know, Congress would really investigate this and find him to be a bogus president because he violated the Constitution and lied and perjured and, you know, all that. And if he's proven to be a bogus president, well, his appointees, such as, say, Comey, that has been appointed by him, would that null and void his appointment? And Trump could decide whether or not to let him go and replace him. That's something to think about. Next one here is off BizPack Review. And it says, Reporter drops bombshell on Hannity. FBI finds no collusion between Trump campaign and Russia. What did he know about it, and when did he know it? During his opening monologue, Fox News host Sean Hannity said former President Barack Obama has some questions he needs to answer in light of a blockbuster story published on Wednesday. The FBI found no evidence of wrongdoing that would lead to a criminal charge against Trump's associate after the agency briefly examined the server used by Trump during its months-long investigation into Russian influence on the 2016 presidential election, according to Circa News. Circa puts out a tweet that says the FBI investigated a Trump server in its Russian probe, but no charges are expected and then there's a URL behind that, and it's at Sarah Carter, DC. It says the FBI briefed investigation into Trump's server, which a large number of campaign staffers would have had access to, was apparently executed pursuant to a FISA, Foreign Intelligence Service Act, search warrant. Given this information, Hannity said the time has come for the former president and intelligence officials with knowledge of this to come clean with what transpired. What did they know? What information was gathered, Hannity asked. Do they need to assure you, the American people, that this was not spying on a political opposition party just weeks before an election? But the former president's 11th hour expansion of what agencies may receive information gathered by the National Security Agency before privacy protections would apply would suggest political motivation. We've been asking, why did President Obama wait until the last minute, 2 weeks before he leaves, to issue that order? Hannity said. It's an order that he did not apply to himself for 8 years. And since this order was signed, we've seen an explosion of leaks coming from intelligence agencies. Circa News reported of U.S. officials who spoke only on condition of anonymity because of the sensitive nature of the information said there is widespread frustration among intelligence professionals who have watched in horror as a normally secretive process has been distorted by the media leaks and politicians uneducated about how counterintelligence operations actually work. At the close of his monologue, Hannity brought on Sarah Carter of Circa News, who said the FBI was unable to find any collusion between Trump presidential campaign and Russia. And there's video of that here in this if you want to take a look at that. They didn't even find evidence of collusion with Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, Trump's former national security advisor. He was asked to resign after information was leaked to the public about phone conversations he'd had with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. After Carter's appearance, social media exploded and tweets started following Carter's Twitter feed. And let's see here, one says they found nothing, nada. Another one says, and this is what President was speaking about. He knew that he was being watched and listened to. Skip down a little bit here. There's one that says, I'm now following Sarah Carter, awesome reporting. Hannity concluded that this new information raises very serious questions on ethics, personal privacy, and national security. Until we get answers, we're going to keep asking these questions, Hannity said. Liberty Writers, and it says, Trump's new health care bill includes one crucial part that will make Obama cry. The GOP released their new Obamacare replacement, and it's already causing snowflakes to melt at overwhelming rates. One section in particular has Obama and his Democrats minions furious. Not only is the moral win for let me back up on that. The new bill defunds Planned Parenthood for at least a year. Not only is this a moral win for the country, it's a huge fiscal win. Planned Parenthood costs taxpayers $553 million annually. This time around, the bill would block Planned Parenthood from receiving Medicaid reimbursements. This is key since Planned Parenthood is famous for scamming Medicaid. A report published by Alliance Defending Freedom, the ADF, showed the various ways Planned Parenthood has engaged in abuse and potential fraud with American tax dollars. The report alleges that 45 public audits of Planned Parenthood affiliates and 57 known audits of state family planning programs found a total of more than $129.7 million in waste, abuse, potential fraud in federal and state family planning funding programs, the lion's share of which goes to Planned Parenthood. Additionally, the report says that $14.4 billion of Planned Parenthood's federal Medicaid expenditures were improper payments, and the abortion company engaged in other billing violations. Republicans need to stand united now more than ever to get this bill passed. If Senate Republicans lose just 3 votes in their caucus and Democrats unite in opposition, the GOP would not be able to pass an Obamacare repeal bill. This is going to be quite the showdown in Congress, but this needs to be done. Trump promised to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, and he's keeping that promise. Planned Parenthood has been caught in too many scandals to deserve another cent of our taxpayer money. Next one is off of BizPack Review. And get the hamster to work with me. Here we go. Someone say this really slow for Chuck Schumer. Planned Parenthood does not do mammograms. Senator Chuck Schumer never lets facts get in the way of a good lie. And there's a tweet here. It says, read the bill. Trump care blocks access to Planned Parenthood, care that reaches people that have a harder time accessing care, like people of color, rural communities, LGBTQ communities, people with low incomes, and young people. And Schumer tweets, Trump care cuts Planned Parenthood funding, hurting millions of women who turn there for mammograms, maternity care, cancer screenings, and more. Mr. Schumer, Planned Parenthood does not perform mammograms. Of course, I guess, you know, he doesn't have to go in for them, so he would know. Another one says, when does the lying about mammograms stop? Maybe, and that's from somebody with a Twitter name, How Bauda. I don't know, you know, who that is. It says maybe he missed this. And Sherry, there's a girl named Sherry that tweeted, must have missed the Cecily Richards testimony to Congress. She finally admitted her abortionaries don't do mammograms. Needless to say, people were quick to point out his obvious lies, and there's a whole slew of tweets pointing that out to him. I love the last one. It's from someone named Scott with a picture of Schumer with a big stamp over it that says resign. Oh my, it says, why are Democrats so quick to defend Planned Parenthood, a company that claims it is nonpartisan? They have donated nearly $30 million in the effort to elect Democrats. The next article is off Liberty Writers, and it says, breaking, Dirty Harry Reid colluded with James Comey in Trump Tower wiretapping. Here's the proof. Democrats have been calling Trump a liar over his accusations that Obama wiretapped Trump Tower. Just yesterday, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper denied the claim that the Obama administration was monitoring Trump's New York home. In an exclusive interview on Sunday's Meet the Press, Clapper told Chuck Todd there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate or against his campaign. But just like Clapper lied about spying on millions of Americans, it looks like he is also lying about wiretapping Trump. In fact, many top Democrats are claiming they didn't know that Trump was under surveillance, but correspondence between Harry Reid and James Comey tell a different story. And here, this is the quote. Former Senator Majority Leader Former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid admitted several times, both before and after the election, that some form of surveillance of Trump campaign was ongoing and that the intelligence community had told him this as fact. In a letter written by Harry Reid to FBI Director James Comey, Reid accuses Comey of possessing explosive information. He even stated that he's been asking Comey to release the information to the public. And here's the quote. In my communications with you and other top officials in the national security community, it has become clear that you possess explosive information about the close ties and coordination between Donald Trump, his top advisors, and the Russian government, a foreign interest openly hostile to the United States, which Trump praises at every opportunity. He said, I wrote to you months ago calling for this information to be released to the public, and yet you continue to resist calls to inform the public of this critical information. If that wasn't bad enough, the Washington Post wrote in October, Reid is saying that he has been told the FBI has evidence of possible collusion between Trump campaign and the Russian government. And he's not just saying this information came from mysterious and unnamed national security officials. He's saying Comey himself has left him with this impression. It seems the only collusion is between Harry Reid and James Comey to take Trump down. Next article is off of Liberty Writers, and it says, urgent. As protests grow more violent against Trump, Ben Carson issues a dire warning to America. President Trump has been under attack by liberal media for nearly every word that comes out of his mouth. Trump supporters are being violently assaulted all over the country. Even this weekend, elderly Trump supporters were beaten bloody simply because they showed pride in their president. And Steve Hirsch reports here that elderly man was pepper sprayed by liberal terrorists today at Berkeley. How long will they go? You decide. But one voice of reason in the Trump administration is strongly heard throughout the madness. Ben Carson explained the real source of the problem that is fueling America's hate for one another and what needs to be done to solve the problem. We live in a nation where a lot of people are trying to get rid of God, Carson said. I think that's a big mistake. Think about the fact that our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, talks about certain inalienable rights given to us by our Creator, aka God. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag says we are one nation under God, he added. Every coin in our pocket, every bill in our wallet says, in God we trust. On the walls of many of the courts in our land, it says, in God we trust. So if it's in our founding document, our pledge, our courts, it's on our money, but we're not supposed to talk about it? In the world is that? Ben Carson's right, and it seems like we need God now more than ever. We may be a nation divided, but God has the power to heal. Mike Pence shared his favorite Bible verse, and it has never made more sense. If his people who are called by his name will humble themselves and pray, he will do like he has always done. He will hear from heaven, and he will heal this land. Pray for our country, and God bless President Trump. And there's some video in this if you want to take a look at that. Next article I have is off of BizPac Review. It says, Monica Crowley opens up about despicable political hit job, but her warning to Trump is downright chilling. It was all part of a political hit job. Conservative columnist and author Monica Crowley said Tuesday that claims of plagiarism directed against her as she was being considered for a senior position in the Trump administration was a part of what's being lodged against the president himself. When Crowley was under consideration to be President Donald Trump's senior director of strategic communications at the National Security Council, CNN and Politico claimed that she lifted a passage in her book, What the Bleep Just Happened. Shortly after that, she removed her name from consideration for the position. When Fox News host Sean Hannity introduced Crowley last week, he observed that the press has been targeting nearly everyone in the Trump White House, including his 10-year-old son, Barron. Well, look what happened to me. That is a despicable, straight-up political hit job, she told Hannity about the 120 mark of the video that's shown here in this article. Okay, it's been debunked. My editor has completely supported me and backed me up. Crowley added that there is a very toxic, and it's getting increasingly toxic and poisonous atmosphere of personal destruction in Washington and the media. She called what happened to her, Trump's former national security advisor, Democrat, is that Den? It's D-E-N, Michael Flynn, for, as well as Attorney General Jeff Sessions, all a piece of a very dangerous and effective get my tongue to work. Very effective and destabilization campaign underway against this president. His administration and his agenda. One of these days, my tongue's just going to tie in a knot. She said that the media's attack on Trump goes far beyond merely delegitimizing his presidency. They want to personally destroy him, destroy his presidency, and they would like to see the man in prison, Crowley said. They are out for blood. I hope that everyone around him understands that this is a war and that it will not end until they get the president of the United States. Hannity observed that it wasn't just Democrats and the press that were out for blood. Factions, he said, Democratic Party obstructionists, a media establishment, and Republicans that are weak and timid. And then the fifth party of it is an intelligence community that is out for blood. They want him in prison, Crowley agreed, adding that tens of millions of dollars have been amassed to impeach Trump. And they want to jail the chief. We are in a very dangerous moment, and I hope to God that he's strong enough to withstand this. Trump supporters urged Crowley and Hannity to keep the pressure up on the left. And there's a bunch of tweets in this if you want to pull those up and read those. The next one and final one in this episode is .co.uk, and it says China warns U.S. over long-range anti-missile system deployed in South Korea. China stoked tensions in the Korean Peninsula as U.S. President Donald Trump began deploying a sophisticated anti-missile system. Protests from Beijing came as the first elements of the U.S. military's terminal high-altitude area defense, called the THAAD, system were set up in South Korea. The move provoked an angry response from China, North Korea's main ally, which fears THAAD's powerful radars will be able to spot its own missile launches, and threatens its defense. China's ambassador to the UN Conference on Disarmament in Geneva, Fu Kong, said Beijing firmly opposed the deployment of THAAD and will take necessary measures to defend our own security interests. He added all parties concerned should work together for the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and its peace and stability. THAAD has a range of 130 miles and can reach an altitude of 90 miles. It is designed to shoot down short and medium range ballistic missiles. The deployment came a day after North Korea and dictator Kim Jong-un fired 4 test missiles toward Japan. Rogue state North Korea has nuclear weapons and is thought to be trying to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles which could threaten the U.S. America has tried to neutralize the threat by deploying THAAD. The system could be operational by early next month. South Korea's disarmament ambassador Kim In-chul said THAAD is purely defensive. It is only defense measure we can take facing the massive threat posed by North Korea. U.S. Disarmament Ambassador Robert Wood said the U.S. had an ironclad commitment to defend its allies. He added, it should be very clear to the DP of North Korea that it is a pariah, outlier. It is in violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. The U.S. and allies could not stand by and do nothing, he said, but North Korea insists it will pursue what it claims is its nuclear deterrent. On Monday, Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson branded North Korea a threat to international peace and security after its missile test. It fired landed in the sea just 190 miles from Japan's coast. Kim Jong-un carried out the country's 5th and most powerful nuclear test in the country last September. In February, the dictator was accused of having his estranged half-brother Kim Jong-nam murdered at Kuala Lumpur Airport in North Korea's despot Kim Malaysia. So there you have that information. I'll remind you that at 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Time, Friday night, there will be a live show for the Week in Review. I'm I think I have a guest lined up. We'll see. Um, haven't firmed everything up on that, but I think so. And come join the fun. You never know what's going to happen on my live shows. Anything's liable to happen. Just like it goes in my life, nothing's planned. It just, it just happens. And if you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Don't be afraid to let me know. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that. That way you'll stay informed. See you tonight. Have a great day.